Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here coming to you live from Mesa in Arizona. Sorry, I was just doing some quick math because I realized today is 460. So out of 1,096 was just quickly working out, I have 636 days to go. Pretty cool, huh? So I hope you're all having a great start to Tune Up, a super fantastic, sparkling start to Tune Up Tuesday. Today's all about making those fine little tweaks, those fine little changes, those little things that can make a big impact later down the track. Remember, making the tweaks is like dropping like a drop of water going into a still pond, and then you get that ripple effect going out. One small change can have a wide impact. It's like sharing a smile with somebody. Um, can change their complete outlook on the day. And because their outlooks change, they start smiling more. They're sharing their smiles with other people, bringing lightness into their life, and it goes on and on and on and on. Kind of like the pay it forward theory. Um, and what was the other one? The butterfly effect, too. About how what was the butterfly effect theory? Was something about the flap of a butterfly's wings can have that ripple effect that ends up as a hurricane or a tornado or something like that. Remember hearing that years ago. I may have it all twisted up, and so please forgive me if I did get it twisted up. But today we're going to talk about how happy cells are healthy cells. And we're reading from Chicken Soup for the Soul, Think Positive, Live Happy. This is such an awesome book. I hope you guys are enjoying these stories. And we have a quote here from Arthur Christopher Benson. I love this quote. It says, very often a change of self is needed more than a change of scene. So if you think that you need a change of scene, change of scenery or something, look inside yourself first. Is it really a change of scenery that you need, or is it just a tweak that you need to make in your attitude? It could be like you think you're having a crappy day and you think, oh, I just need a change of scenery. Maybe if you look deep inside yourself and you suddenly think, okay, I've got to turn this day around. It's like back in March when I decided to start doing 2 Facebook Lives a day. I started seeing negativity come through on my Facebook feed, and I thought, I need to change this because I was getting to the point where I didn't want to go on Facebook because it was so negative. And I thought, I need to change this. What can I do to make that change? So, March 17th, I started doing my 2 Facebook Lives a day. Um, and it was immediate that because I was putting that extra effort in, I was making that change within my attitude and within myself, because I suddenly realized that you get back what you put out. So if I'm seeing all this negative stuff in my Facebook feed, I must be putting out negative energy, despite the fact that I'm super fantastic and sparkling and everything else. There is some negative vibes coming off me. So the moment I made that change and started doing these morning Facebook Lives, my Facebook feed has started feeding me back what I'm putting out. So I'm getting more and more positive feeds coming out. Although I have noticed in the last couple of days, because of all of the stuff that's happening today, that there's been negativity creeping back in again. And so I've got to make that change. So I'm staying off social media today, except to do my Facebook Lives. And, um, and I'm going to do an attitude adjustment today. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, a change of self. So here is the story called Happy Cells Are Healthy Cells. The server with her forearms covered in bracelets and I, in my mid-20s, were close in age. So why did she seem so much older and wiser? I don't remember how we came to be talking in the hallway outside the pub's restroom. Had we both been using the facilities and I mentioned something as we washed our hands? Had I been grumbling about having a bad day? Probably I was always grouchy back then. It's been more than 20 years since that encounter, and while I may not remember exactly how we ended up, excuse me, oh, this must be dust in the air. It's been more than 20 years since that encounter, and while I may not remember exactly how we ended up in the hallway together, I'll never forget what happened there. Do you always remember that? Think about those times when they're just little moments in time. Think of those little moments. That's the drop that starts the ripple effect. Think about that. I'll never forget what happened there. She was the first to show me how powerful my thoughts were. You must always guard your thoughts, she advised. They do more than form in your mind, they influence your body. What? There I was in my business best, meeting up with co-worker friends for happy hour drinks. She was in her work clothes too, a flowing skirt and basic t-shirt, and her hair wild and free to match her spirit. We were the yuppie and the hippie. I haven't heard yuppie in a long time. Uh, One was about to teach the other a valuable lesson. All that negativity, it doesn't do you any good. In fact, it does the exact opposite. I've often wondered what she saw in my eyes in that moment. She could have stopped and gone back to her job. Instead, she took the time to show me what she was talking about. Here, stick out your arm. She demonstrated how she wanted me to hold it stretched out perpendicular to my body. I'm going to press down on it while you think about something that makes you happy. What fills your heart with smiles? Think about that. That was a good question. What filled my heart with smiles? His furry face filled my mind. A tennis ball in his mouth. Buddy, my cocker spaniel. I'm going to try and push down on your arm. The waitress said, Don't let me. I kept my arm stiff and she wasn't able to press it down. I was able to resist. Okay, now think of the exact opposite. Think of something that fills your soul with anger or sadness, maybe even both, something negative. That one came easier. My mother. Nothing I did was ever good enough for her. She was always criticizing me about one thing or another. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. Try to resist when I press down again. I couldn't. No matter how hard I tried to think of my mom, no matter how hard I tried thinking of my mom and the way she made me feel, literally stole my strength. The wise waitress told me to think my happy thoughts again. My strength returned. She was pressing equally hard each time, but she was proving my thoughts dictated my strength. I had the power to resist with one and absolutely no strength with the other. Fast forward 12 years, I was battling cancer that I was convinced was brought on by all the stress I'd been undertaking. I, sorry, was convinced was brought on by all the stress I'd been undertaking care of my mother during her own struggle with cancer. I was diagnosed only 5 months after her death. I'd taken on caregiving responsibilities in a last-ditch effort to prove I was worthy of her love. Why I expected her to be different when she was dying, I don't know. But nothing I did was good enough. Worse, I found out what I was always suspected. She loved my sister more. I had the last will and testament to prove it. She never said I love you to anyone. She wasn't like that. She was very big on material rewards though. My sister worth 70% of her estate, I only worth 30%. My sister had known all along how the will had been written, but it had come as a surprise to me. It turned out my mum expected my sister to care for her. My sister had shrugged off that duty on me, and in my desperation to make one last grand gesture, I accepted it willingly, which meant exposing myself to my mum's toxic energy 24/7. After chemo treatment that hit me particularly hard, I thought about the waitress from so many years ago. Ripple effects. I was on the couch, drilling in and out of consciousness, drifting in and out of consciousness, wondering which would hit me first, the next round of nausea or the pain flare. I tried not to think about my mum or sister, but it didn't work. I was still hurt and angry about how everything had turned out. But I also knew those feelings were what had gotten me into the mess I was in. If I didn't change my thinking, I was going to die. I was doing what the waitress had shown me all those years ago, letting negative thoughts zap my strength. But these were potent enough to threaten my life. If I wanted not only to heal, but to live and thrive, I had to change my thinking. And that's when it hit me. Happy cells are healthy cells. That was the mantra to live by. Sad and mad thoughts made me sick. Happy ones could make me better. The trouble was, my heart had been shattered. One can't face the level of betrayal I'd experienced and expect not to think about it. The more I tried not to, the more I did. Again, it was the waitress' wise words that helped. I asked myself, what fills my heart with smiles? The key was to flood my mind with as many of those thoughts on a daily basis as possible. Make it so there was no room for bad thoughts. I set about filling my moments with as much happy as possible. I made lists, not only of what brought me joy in the present, but also things to look forward to once I got better. I listed things I wanted to try, places I wanted to see, and people I wanted to visit. I watched sitcoms and romantic comedies. I cherished the time with my husband, friends, pets even more. And whatever the bad thoughts threatened to take over, I gently but firmly reminded myself, happy cells are healthy cells. I just passed the 10-year in the clear remission mark. So when I say this is a mantra I live by, I really mean it. And that was written by C.L. Pryor. So think about it. When you have happy cells are healthy cells. I like that. And it was just that one chance meeting that changed her life later on, that made her that helped her to beat cancer. So think about all those chance encounters. Everything happens for a reason. I firmly believe everything happens for a reason. We meet the people we are supposed to meet when we meet them. The people leave our lives when they are supposed to leave. It's not sort of like, oh, I dread the fact that I lost contact with that friend. You were supposed to lose contact with that friend. That friend's influence in your life that friend had been in your life for a reason. That purpose had been fulfilled. They were now out of your life. So if you think about that, about the people who have come and gone from your life, they have come and gone for a reason. There have been some chance encounters, like this one where she met a waitress in a pub, where that chance encounter has a major impact on your life. You may not know it at the time, but that person drops that drop in the water, and that ripple effect starts. So think about that. When you drop a smile into somebody's life, that ripple effect. Just think of the impact that ripple effect is going to have. So go out today with thinking about what makes your heart happy. I love that. I'm going to start thinking about that more. I wake up each day with a grateful heart, but I'm also going to start adding in there, what makes my heart happy? What am I happy with in my life? What brings me joy in my life? What makes me smile every day? What makes me super fantastic and sparkling? And then what am I looking forward to that's going to bring more happiness into my life and everything else? I love a happy heart. Was it happy cells or healthy cells? But just start today by making a change. What makes your heart happy? Start thinking about that. Start living that philosophy. That is your Tune Up Tuesday for today. Have a super fantastic sparkling day, and we'll catch you guys later on today. Hei konera.